Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Project Unchained. I'm excited to be here today. Today, I want to talk about something that really messed me up a lot of times in life, and I want to share some ways around that with you. There's been no shortage of times in my life, and I've talked to a lot of other people that experience the same thing, where in the pursuit of a goal, in the pursuit of something to accomplish, we either, one, don't get there quick enough, or two, we fall in hardship along the way and we trip and fall down. We're like, I quit. And we feel deflated, we feel unworthy, we feel less than, we don't feel good about ourselves. We just feel really defeated. And again, that happens a lot of times in thinking like, oh, that goal is so big and so massive, I'm not worthy of that accomplishment. Or as we're going along the way, it seems to take forever. And we just can't quite get there, and time is slowing and progress is non-existent. We just don't feel like we're getting there. And I think one of the biggest reasons that messes us up is we're not aware of the trip hazard that come with goals. I think goals are good, they're important. To me, I look at goals as they provide direction of effort. Like, that's something I want to go and accomplish, so that's the direction that I need to head with my efforts rather than that direction. But one of the biggest trip hazards of goals is being outcome focused. And I really like to think about it as though climbing a mountain. Anybody that's ever climbed a mountain would understand this. And even if you haven't climbed a mountain, it's pretty easy to conceptualize it. How do you climb a mountain? If your goal is to climb the mountain and get to the peak of the mountain, and you're standing down at the bottom, and you're looking up at that peak and you're like, oh man, it's a long ways up there. That's a big mountain. Let's get to climbing. I want to get to the top. The way to the top is you put your head down and you look every single step. You shift your focus to the process of climbing the mountain, which is one step at a time. If you climb that mountain and you're looking up at the peak while you're climbing that mountain, at some point on that path, on that journey, you're gonna trip and fall down. And that's a lucky scenario. Most of the time you trip and fall back down and roll a ways back down the mountain, depending on where you're at in the mountain, depending on how steep it is, depending on what the rocks and the boulders and those things are. But when you shift your focus to the input and you shift your focus to the effort and the process of climbing the mountain, you avoid that. That same thing occurs in the pursuit of a goal anywhere in life. If we shift our focus to the input, what are the things that I can control? What is the process to go from point A to point B? We have to be able to understand what efforts, what energies, what things we can do that pursue and push us along that path from that point A to point B, from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain. If we don't understand that, then we need to get to the ability to understand what that is. That's going to be the process that we get to the goal. Along that path, we're going to get tired. Anybody who's ever hiked a mountain, even a small mountain, it's not a small task. We're going to get tired. That's where it can be beneficial to walk along the path and you get to a certain point and you're tired and you can look back. Oh, whoa, I've come a long way. Yeah, I still got a long ways to go. The peak is still a ways up there, but man, I've come a long ways. Good job, me. Good job, Ross. Let's keep going. And that can reinvigorate you. The other thing that happens when we're outcome focused, we tend to value accomplishment only. And we think we're only worthy and we're only worth something if we accomplish that goal and we get to that peak. And that's not true. When we shift our focus and also realize that there's so many things that we can gain along that path and along that pursuit, that's when it shifts and adds value to our life. If we think, what am I gaining from this experience? Well, in a mountain, at least you're still gaining some level of conditioning, you're still gaining some level of physical exercise and physical benefit to your physical health and well-being. That's a great thing. Whether you make it all the way to the top or not is another thing, but you're still gaining. And same thing with the pursuit of a big goal. Think about it this way. I wouldn't want this idea or this concept to scare you away from having big goals. Have big goals. I love the idea of having big goals, so big that when you do, and if you do accomplish it, it changes your life. Changes your life. For example, I have a really big goal. One of my life big goals is I want to give a TED Talk. Not just a TEDx talk, but a legit TED Talk. I got a long ways to go. That's a big mountain for me to climb from where I'm at right now. And there's a lot that needs to happen, and there's a lot of things that I need to do to elevate myself to that ability. Not just from a skill set of being able to deliver that kind of a quality of a speech, but notoriety, the ability, the resume to get put on a stage like that, there's a lot of things I need to do to build that. So I look at it as, well, that's a big goal and there's a lot that needs to happen. There's also a lot that I can gain and benefit from and add value to along the way. For example, doing this work here with Project Unchained becomes so valuable to me for a couple of different reasons. One, it's building that resume. It's giving me the practice to cultivate speaking skills. It's giving me different ideas. I'm constantly pursuing and expanding my knowledge so that I can have more things to talk about and more things to connect with. And in doing a lot of this work, I have healed myself on a deeper level. So whether I get to that point or not, whether I make it to the peak of that summit, whether I make it onto that TED Talk stage or not, I've gained so much already in that healing process, in being vulnerable, in cultivating my gifts and giving them to people. I've had some amazing conversations with some amazing people and have learned how they've benefited from this work, and that's massive. It means so much to me to be able to do this work and learn and find out that it adds value to your life. I love those conversations when I get the opportunity to have those. They mean so much to me, and I'm so incredibly grateful that this work also helps and supports other people. That's one of the big goals. I really want to be able to support people in their personal development journeys and share with them that we can break free from those figurative chains. We can break free from those limitations. They only exist when we say yes to them and we stop expanding. And that's part of my journey. I want to be on that journey of expansion. And that's where big goals come in. It's pushing me up that figurative mountain. So a process that I think can be really helpful in a situation like this is we have to identify that big dream goal. For me, being a TED Talk. I have other ones too, but we stick with that one. And if we identify that big goal, then we want to break it down from there into different inputs of focus. What are the things that I can do to cultivate the skills that might be needed to do that and get to that point and get to that peak? If it's climbing a mountain, do I need climbing gear? Do I need ropes and chains and different things of that nature to get up cliffs? Depends on the mountain. This particular mountain, it's a big one, so I need some climbing gear. I need to develop a lot of different skills to help me get there. Breaking that down as well, not just to those inputs, but then smaller, more tangible goals. What are some of the things that can be demarc points along that route and along that path that let you know that you're headed in a generally right direction? Because if you're climbing a mountain, one of the things that happens when you climb a mountain as you're going up, you could run into a cliff and you could run into a wall that you cannot scale and you cannot climb. That doesn't mean the journey has to stop. That just means the current route and path to that peak is not scalable. It means we might have to walk back a little ways and go around that cliff. If we don't have that climbing gear, that's what we'd have to do. So understanding that those things are going to come up. They're going to happen. We're gonna run into some roadblocks, and that's where cultivating those skills of adversity and perseverance become really beneficial. So we have to do that along the way. Be aware of like the things that you can control. Those are where your powers are at. When you're able to focus in on the things that you can control and develop those and work those are going to be the things that really help propel you up that mountain. The things that you can control. If you're out there hiking a mountain, you don't control the weather. If it starts snowing or raining, there's nothing you can do about that. What is within your control in that moment is your attitude on what you perceive the weather to be. Right? When I used to hike and snowboard in Alaska, if the snow started coming down, all right, let's go, some powder. Does it make the hike harder? Yeah, it's a lot harder to hike a mountain when it's waist deep snow. But if it's snowing, I'm also happy because that adds to the snow that I get to ride. So what's the attitude? How do you approach those things? How do you handle those things that you can't control? By focusing on those things that you can. So I want to encourage you, develop that goal. What is that big goal? And identify some of those things of the focus of the inputs and some of the little goals along the way, some of the benchmark goals that can help push you to that big dream goal, that goal that'll change your life. And even if you don't accomplish it, it's okay, because there's going to be such epic stuff along the way, along that journey, that you learn about yourself and you learn about other people that make that journey so worth it. Those concepts have helped me a lot instead of being so focused on an outcome that I don't have the control on. Like, what can I do and experience and gain from this? That focus has helped me so much enjoy the process and grind of pursuing a long, big journey. So I hope that it also helps you in the pursuit of your goal and the pursuit of starting that big dream goal, that one that you're a little scared of, to start attacking. You can attack it. There's a lot of benefit to happen for you in the pursuit of that goal. So make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's break them chains off and start hiking today. Thank you.